Yo, fam, buckle up because today we're diving into the biggest cap in history you probably still believe. We're talking about the stuff they taught you in school that's straight up sues. From fake Viking helmets to Napoleon's actual height, spoiler alert, he wasn't that short. We're busting all the BS. From fake Viking helmets to Napoleon's actual height, spoiler alert, he wasn't that short. We're busting all the BS. We're going to be diving deep into the history books, checking out old paintings, and maybe even digging up some ancient artifacts. Okay, maybe not, but you get the vibe. Get ready to have your minds blown, because we're about to expose the truth behind some of the biggest historical myths out there. No cap, you won't believe how much of history is straight up fake news. So, if you're ready to learn something new and vibe with us, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Let's get into it. Alright, let's get this party started. First up, we're talking about Napoleon Bonaparte. You know, the French emperor with the iconic hat and the massive rep? History makes him out to be this tiny dude with a major Napoleon complex, right? Well, plot twist alert. That's as real as a $3 bill. Napoleon's height has been debated for ages, with many thinking he was super short. Like, hilariously short. Imagine this, you're strolling down the street and you see Napoleon riding by on a tiny horse, trying to look all tough. But here's the tea, Napoleon wasn't actually that short. In fact, he was around 5'6" to 5'7", which was actually above average height for a Frenchman back then. So how did this whole short king myth start? Well, it all comes down to a measuring mishap. You see, the French used a different unit of measurement than the British back then. When they translated Napoleon's height from French to English, it made him seem way shorter than he actually was. It's like comparing apples and oranges or feet and meters. Imagine someone measuring you with a ruler that's too short. They'd probably think you're a giant. That's basically what happened to Napoleon. The British were using a different ruler, so to speak, and it made him look a lot shorter than he actually was. So the next time you hear someone cracking jokes about Napoleon's height, you can drop some knowledge on them. Tell them that Napoleon was actually a pretty average-sized dude, and that the whole short king thing is just a big misunderstanding. And hey, maybe throw in a Vive la France for good measure. Yo, let's chat about Vikings. These dudes were the OG sea warriors, raiding and pillaging all over Europe. And what's the first thing you think of when you hear Vikings? Besides their epic beards, obviously, it's those wild horned helmets, right? Like, picture this. You're just chilling in your village when suddenly a bunch of Viking ships show up on the horizon. The Vikings come charging out, rocking these massive horned helmets, looking like a mix between a demon and a reindeer. Scary, right? But here's the tea, Vikings never actually wore horned helmets. I know, total buzzkill, but it's facts. The whole horned helmet thing is a big fat lie made up by pop culture. So where did this wild myth come from? Turns out, those iconic horned helmets were a product of 19th century Romanticism, a time when people were obsessed with medieval and mythical stuff. Artists and costume designers started adding horns to Viking helmets to make them look more dramatic, and the image just stuck. Think about it. You're a Viking warrior, about to charge into battle. The last thing you want is a giant horn sticking out of your head, getting caught on everything and making you an easy target. Plus, imagine trying to row a longship with those things on. It'd be a total nightmare. So next time you see a movie or TV show with Vikings wearing horned helmets, just remember, it's not historically accurate. Those helmets might look cool, but they're as real as a unicorn riding a dragon. Chapter 3, Einstein Myth-Busting 101. Alright, let's talk about the OG genius, Albert Einstein, the dude who flipped physics on its head with E equals mc squared. Everyone thinks he's the smartest guy ever, but there's this wild myth that he flunked math in school. Yep, you heard that right. Some people actually believe the guy who came up with the theory of relativity was bad at math. That's like saying Michael Jordan was trash at basketball or that Beyoncé can't sing. It's totally ridiculous. But somehow this myth has been around for ages, and even teachers and parents repeat it. Seriously, do you think someone who struggled with basic math could have done what Einstein did? The truth is, Einstein was a math prodigy from a young age. He crushed it in school, especially in math and physics. He was already nailing calculus and other advanced stuff while his classmates were still stuck on algebra. So where did this crazy rumor even come from? Looks like a classic case of misinformation going viral. One theory is that it came from a mix-up about the grading system in Switzerland, where Einstein went to school. Another theory is that it was a shady attempt to make Einstein look bad. Whatever the reason, the myth that Einstein failed math is totally bogus. He was a math and physics legend who changed the world with his epic theories. So next time you hear someone drop this tired old myth, make sure to set the record straight. Chapter 4. The Iron Maiden, history's biggest hoax. Alright fam, let's dive into something super dark and twisted: torture. Specifically, one of the most infamous torture devices ever, the Iron Maiden. You've probably seen it in movies and TV shows, a human-shaped metal cabinet with spikes inside designed to inflict unimaginable pain. Just thinking about it gives you the creeps, right? The idea of someone being locked in there pierced by spikes is straight-up nightmare fuel. It's a brutal reminder of how savage humans can be. But guess what? The Iron Maiden, as terrifying as it sounds, is probably a total hoax. Yep, it's a historical fake, a myth that's been around for centuries. There's no legit evidence that it was ever actually used as a torture device in the Middle Ages. So, how did this creepy invention get stuck in our heads? It all kicked off in the 18th century when museums and collectors started showing off these Iron Maidens as spooky tourist traps. They claimed these devices were real medieval torture tools, and people totally bought it. But historians and researchers have busted this myth wide open. They've checked out the existing Iron Maidens and found zero proof of their use in torture. In fact, many of them are just fancy fakes, pieced together from old metal and jazzed up with scary details to make them look real. Looks like the Iron Maiden was more about morbid curiosity than actual torture. It was a way for people to gawk at the supposed savagery of the past and feel all superior. But in reality, it was all just a big sham. Whoa, that was a wild ride through history's biggest cap. We busted some major myths today, from Napoleon's height to the Iron Maiden being fake. Turns out you can't trust everything you hear, especially in history class. So next time someone drops a fun fact, you'll know what's cap. Think like Nordy, channel your inner Mr. Beast and question everything. You might just uncover a historical hoax or two. Smash that like button if you learned something new today, and don't forget to subscribe for more myth-busting chaos. And hey, drop a comment on the wildest myth you've heard. Peace out!